have spent my life studying processes in the deepest part of Earth's ocean. And in so doing, I have so many great stories to share with you. But something happened a few weeks ago that I frankly did not expect. And that is what I want to talk about today. I've had the fortune of working with the United Nations delegates for the last 4 years or so on thinking about a new forthcoming high seas treaty. And I'll touch briefly upon that in just a few minutes. But I want to tell you that this treaty has lofty aspirations that I think it's important we lean into. And so today I want to share some ideas about what not just this treaty presents, but what technology gives us a chance to do, and what I believe is a bit of a cultural revolution may enable us to do in terms of conserving and protecting the ocean, but also enabling us to really promote a vibrant and sustainable blue economy that elevates the quality of life around the world. But first, as a reminder, humankind has had a relationship with the ocean since there have been humans. Take a moment, if you will, and when you get home, look up some of the greatest civilizations in human history, and the overwhelming majority of them grew up on an ocean shore. And we have been exploring the ocean for as long as we've been around. And in 1960, we even reached the deepest part of the ocean, 1960, right? And yet, we know less about Earth's largest habitat, the seafloor, than we do any other habitat on Earth. But before I go on, I wanted to reflect on these images here. What do you see up here? This is a nice day, no? It's kind of a nice day on the ocean. A sailing ship. What do you see? You see water? Do you see what's in the water? Boat. There's a boat. What's below the water? A foot down. An inch down? Can't see it. We'll come back to that in a second. What about down here? Another beautiful moonlit night. Right? What do you see? You see the water, you see the moon, and you see a boat. There's a boat fan in the room. You see the moon 250,000 miles away, and stars that are light years away, but you can't see a foot into this ocean. And that is one of our greatest challenges, is that water, for all of its importance to life, is really hard to see into. And so it makes it so much easier to put a telescope up and study the surface of the moon or a star, to be able to view a star, than it is to see to the seafloor. Now, technologies have really been massive enablers in our understanding of the world's ocean. Today, we dive in submersibles, as John mentioned, the Alvin, this lovely little submersible here that I've had the privilege of diving in. Some of you in this room have as well. We use robotic submarines to explore the ocean from the safety of a ship. We use autonomous vehicles to go down and create the maps that you just heard about. We put observatories on the seafloor, inspired by the landers we put on Mars. We build them and send them to the seafloor. This is one that I've had the great fortune of working on for the last few years. We're bringing the Internet of Things to the ocean. And molecular biology is enabling us to make discoveries in ocean critters that can help humankind and the world writ large. There's a lot going on. And all of it is helping us have a sustained presence in the ocean to better understand the processes that we observed, right, in ways that we can't do just by looking over the side of a boat. We are also in the middle of what I believe is a cultural revolution. United Nations delegates have been working for the last half decade or so on a new high seas treaty. Now, there is a treaty called the Convention of the Law of the Sea that governs how we relate to the ocean. Salvage rights on the high sea, who gets to do mineral extraction and oil and gas and so on. But this was designed with an eye towards protecting the ocean and enabling people from all around the world to have access to the high seas and to share in the benefits that come from the high seas, which are owned by all of us. Although I would argue they're owned by none of us, but that's a different story. The point is, the treaty is designed to promote the well-being of the ocean and foster in a new blue economy. And it's complicated, folks. The delegates just agreed on the language of this just a few weeks ago. That's why I changed the focus of this talk. I wanted to touch upon this. They agreed on the language. It has to be ratified now. Nations will sign it. We will spend a decade or more refining it, understanding how do we implement these ideas. And at the end of the day, we'll have a treaty that if we do this well, will protect the most sensitive parts of the ocean and enable humans from nations around the world to have more access to the science that comes out of studying the high seas, the parts of the ocean that are beyond a nation's jurisdiction. I hope that this increases opportunities for all people, especially women and people of color who have been disenfranchised from participating in ocean research. It wasn't that long ago, folks, for the first time on a research vessel, and having women on board was still awkward. Mid-1990s, right? Still awkward. That's bananas. And we are at a point now where I think we need to do better than that. We know, many of you feel the shortages in the workforce, right? We've had people retire after the pandemic. And we know that there's more demand than there is supply for really skilled folks to help run this planet of ours, right? To drive the economy. This is an opportunity, again, if we do it well. But it begs the question, can the ocean really sustain a blue economic wave? Can we really do it? Two thoughts. Number one, yes, but if we leverage the ocean's strengths. Let me explain what I mean by this. What does it mean to leverage the ocean's strengths? There are ways in which the ocean, and we can build a partnership with the ocean to achieve this desired outcome, a vibrant blue economy. Let me offer an example. When people talk about fisheries and exploitation, they talk about the depletion of fish stocks, which is seriously problematic. It's a food security issue, it's a national security issue. And depending on the data, you're talking about 25 up to about 65 to 75% of fish stocks are gone. And that's harrowing. And in response, we've turned to aquaculture. But we did what we tend to do, which is let's find the easiest, cheapest, fastest way to get there. And so many of the aquaculture approaches we use now are not sustainable. But I want to go back to this 25%, right? To me, if we've depleted the fish stocks by a quarter or as much as 3/4, I would argue that the ocean has the capability to support another 25 to 75%. That's what it was like before the Industrial Revolution. How do we do that? How do we do that in a way that's in partnership with the ocean? That isn't fighting against what the ocean is capable of doing, right? By concentrating pollution on coasts, by using fresh water and so on and so forth, the things that we tend to do now. But how do we do this in a way that leverages the ocean's strengths? That's what I would challenge you all in this room to think about. For example, marine protected areas. If we have more marine protected areas, we know that this increases fish stocks. It's a safe place for babies to hide from our nets and moms, right? So these are some of the things that we can do. Think about sustainable open ocean aquaculture. Let's work with the ocean to solve our greatest problems. The way we do it sustainably is to be mindful of the ocean's vulnerabilities. And I want to emphasize one thing here. I've spent my life studying the rate at which things happen in the ocean, how fast they go. And rate is the secret, folks. We pull things out of the ocean too fast, too quickly, too pointedly. That's it. That's the problem. That is at least a major part of the problem. So if we can avoid kicking the ocean in its metaphorical shins, we'll be far better off than we are now. So that's a start. Engage the experts in the regions of interest. And this is a hint, it's not me. If you want to set up an aquaculture facility in Thailand, go work with Thai scientists, right? Don't turn to Harvard professors. There are people out there who know their world far better than I do. That's how we get to a sustainable place, is building this economic, cultural, and social and environmental resilience. And I'll just end by saying that it's really you that the ocean needs. The time is now to have smart, thoughtful, caring people invest in the sustainable blue economy. Step in and keep the sort of less eco-friendly minded folks from making a mess. This can be done, and it can be done well, but it needs you all to pitch in. And it isn't just the financiers or VCs. It's school teachers, it's custodial assistants, it's all of us. Because if you have a love of the ocean, which is why you're here, you have a role to play. And with that, I want to thank you for your time and attention, and hope you enjoy the rest of the day.